Hey everybody, I'm Symes and this is Robin,
Hello there.
and welcome once again to Kerbal Space Program.
As we zoom through the
And
menus there
this is me doing another parts test thing in high
at
speed,
high velocity.
as usual. So we're testing a stack separator and the Ruckermacht's Poodle engine.
Wow, off it goes.
That's the engine tested, and now we're doing a splashdown test of the separator. So we drop it into the ocean and go poof, and it's done. Hooray! More science. And now we're going to spend all the science that we have on space station bits.
Excellent. We're going to put something in space.
Yes.
And it's going to stay there.
So first of
And
all,
we're going to mean to do that.
very heavy rocketry.
Yeah.
And then Advanced Metalworks, which has some docking adapters in, and I have a quick look at metamaterials there going, ooh, maybe, because it's got the big docking adapter in it. But first of all, I go to Large Control, which has the cupola module and the two-person large lander can in it. Have a quick look at Advanced Unmanned and go, no, don't care about that yet. And then go back to metamaterials for the large docking ports.
Large docking ports.
Yep. And buy them, and now we've got no science left.
That was quick.
So yeah, so let's launch a space station core. Oh, it's a bit bouncy. Yes.
Yeah, it's got lots of flashy lights on it.
And yeah, it's got some.
Aren't those two bits meant to be connected?
Yeah, and I didn't do this very well. So first few launches perhaps didn't go quite so well. That's me going, I should really arrange this clamp thing better so it doesn't just drop the rocket to the ground immediately.
Better nails are required.
Oh, okay, and launch. Oh no, that's wrong. And launch again. Still bouncing a bit. Oh no, wait. This is very bad.
Oh, I'm disappointed you stopped it there. I wanted to see the
Try an
horrible
alternative design.
It's
Still
still
boiling
bouncing.
quite a lot. I'm waiting for it to settle down here. I'm going, okay, it's settling down. Actually, no, wait, what's happening? No, this is all wrong. This is very bad. No!
Timber! Do we get to see it blow up?
There's a little bit of explosion at the end. And then finally I go, alright, fine, more struts.
You've strapped everything together.
More
And
struts.
it's taken off.
And now we're actually lifting off properly.
Yep, nothing's pogoing.
Nothing's
Everything
pogoing
seems
at
to
the
be
moment,
holding
no.
together.
So now we can talk about these lovely docking collars. I just tested
yeah.
the lights there. And that's from a parts pack called Modular Rocket Systems. And I think they're beautiful. And they don't light up the area very much, but you can see them. So you can see exactly where your docking ports are. And you notice they have one of the lights is red and one of them is amber as well, so you can even do alignment stuff. And I've kind of lined it up so the amber lights point to the nearest end of the station and the red lights point to the middle.
That is clever.
So anyway, we're burning up into the sky, doing our turn, starting to do the gravity.
It's just got one guy inside today.
Yes, Jebediah is in the cupola at the top.
He looks like he's having the time of his life as usual.
He's going to be the station commander.
You mean we're going to leave him there forever? That's what you mean, basically.
That is possible. That's entirely possible.
He doesn't need air or anything.
We dumped the boosters and that dropped the struts that were holding the whole thing steady, so now it's a bit wobbly, but it's still going.
It does seem to be a little bit...
Tiny bit wobbly.
Yeah.
But it's good, so I'm just like sorting out the circularization here. I'm trying to get it at 100 kilometers up, which is a good altitude for a space station.
Yeah.
And turn the RCS thrusters on so we can turn this massive thing around a bit more easily.
You got the reversing sound going off at this point.
So yeah, so we've got this. That's our hugest engine now at the left. It's a four.
That is a technical term,
Yes,
I'd like to say.
the
Hugest.
It's a 4-engine cluster, and there's a half-size large fuel tank above it, and then the space station itself is made of 2 very large fuel tanks. That's mainly what it is. Oh, it squishes up a bit. So,
Think of it as cushioning.
yeah, so it's made of fuel tanks, which is why it didn't actually require very many boosters to get it off the ground, because the payload is basically entirely fuel. So, And yeah, it pogos a bit when the thrust's cut off, because the docking ports, they're not really made to sort of support large amounts of stress.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's fine. We've already seen what could have possibly gone wrong. This is
In multiple different ways.
in comparison. This is incredibly going well. So yeah. So the station, it's got some. These RCS thruster blocks are actually from Modular Rocket Systems, and as well because they're 5-way rather than the more usual 4-way ones. So they have one pointing perpendicular to the side of the rocket it's mounted on, as well as the 4 other directions, which makes more sense in my head than when I say it out loud. Anyway, it's got 5 axes of thrust rather than 4, so you actually get better thrust when you're trying to rotate, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Like that. And so there's a cupola module sitting on the top. It's got some batteries on it. It's got a few solar panels just to keep everything running.
I'd like to say if that's the cupola that's in charge of everything, it would be the cupola Khan.
Aha!
I'm sorry.
So we complete our circularization. I pump all of the fuel from the lift stage, all of the fuel that's left from the lift stage, back into the station, and then decouple the lift stage, and use the RCS thrusters to gently move the station away.
Gently bimble it along.
So now the station is by itself, and there's this lift stage slowly trundling away. Turn the lights on again. Yep, they still work. Good.
Good, we still have lights.
And now I'm going to orient the station so it points normal. So the reason for doing this is that obviously when you're orbiting the planet, that will rotate the station relative to the planet. But if it's pointing normal like that, then it doesn't matter how it rotates. You'll still be able to approach it from the side and get access to a docking port. And then I name it Camel Station Alpha.
Yay!
Brilliant. And that's the station
Hooray
call
for the
launched.
mighty Camel.
Let's launch the next part. No explosions this time. I'm not saying
How many boosters are around that thing?
there's 8 boosters on that. It's quite heavy.
What the point is here, I suppose, it's quite heavy.
It is quite heavy. It's 200 at the moment it's 260 tons. It was about 300 when launched. And the problem is that
quite a big one.
there was a lot of tonnage in the station core, but of course it was all fuel. So we just used it all up burning to get the station into orbit. Whereas this has to lift things which aren't fuel because it's got a science lab sitting on top of it, and there's a rendezvous stage as well to actually take it to the station. And I'm not saying there weren't any crashes. I'm just saying we're not showing them. So this is a tiny bit wobbly as well because it's very, very long. And there's a 20-ton science bay sitting right at the top.
Yeah.
So I'm just being very careful in my turn here, and sort of I do.
Well, it's definitely not as bouncy as the last one.
No, I do still have to kind of twist and roll the rocket a little bit to keep it on track there.
Yeah.
But we're sort of turning and cut the engines. You've seen all this before, setting up a circularization burn, etc., etc.
Yep. Make the magic roundabout music.
And then I remembered that there's a little bit of a thing you can do, which is kind of a cheat. But if you turn the time acceleration on when you're outside the atmosphere, it stabilizes the physics. So you can just set something rotating and then just turn the time warp on when it's at the place you want it, and it stops. So it makes it really easy to aim for the maneuver node, then to turn the time warp on, and you don't have to exert any effort in getting it exactly right.
Excellent.
And so we burn and burn and burn. I like that.
That's
engine.
a big old rocket.
Yes. The quad engine. Right. Now we're in orbit.
It does look quite nifty.
And now I'm going to try for intersection, and as you may remember, this doesn't always go so well.
No.
There seems to be a knack to it, which I have not. I have not managed to get. So there's a bit of a chase goes on. I do some faffing about, and then we go, I'm not sure. Do some more faffing about, another orbit. more orbits, more messing about, and then basically I just kind of wind up in a lower orbit and then go around for a while until we get close. And then there we are. That's quite close now. At the bottom there, 15 kilometers. It's not super brilliant. Ideally it would be better, but it's good enough.
Yep.
Can I get it down to 13? certain K there, and then we bring up the void stuff, and there's a rendezvous thing there, so I can keep an eye on the distance to target while I'm flying the rocket. Yeah. So that's what the science lab looks like. White thing with a ladder and 2 windows on it.
That we're going to nail to the other thing.
Glom it onto the station core, and this is
Get out the gaffer tape.
This is me pushing the velocity vectors around, trying to get them so that they're aiming actually right at the station rather than going past it.
Yeah.
And of course, as you traverse in your orbit, the vectors drift away again because you're not in exactly the same orbit as the target. So you have to keep on messing about and get it right.
Keep tweaking, in other words.
Yep. But the faster you're going towards the target, the less it tends to drift, because the drift part of it becomes a much smaller percentage of the overall vector. And right now we're going at 53 meters a second, which is quite fast. So I decided to slow down a bit. Because we're only 2 kilometers away now.
Handy lights to guide on the back there, so we can actually see.
Yeah. So
always helpful.
Put the collar on so you can see what's going on in here as well, and you can line it up with the one on the station quite nicely to get things aligned. So yeah, coming into 100 meters or so now. Slowed down to 1 meter a second. Set a specific docking port as a target, and that changes it on the nav ball, so the nav ball's pointing at the docking port rather than the command module on the station.
Yeah.
And now, because all of the docking ports are empty, you just pick one. So the first docking is the easiest. So you go, that one's nearest, we'll use that one. And yeah, so now using RCS to do lateral movement as well as rotation. So you kind of get yourself pointing in the right direction. And then you line up exactly in front of the port that you want. And then you tweak your velocity so that the only velocity you have is straight towards the port. That's the idea.
Yeah. It's like Elite, but with less rotation.
Less rotating. And so yeah, I've actually just, as you can see, I actually just eyeballed this first one and did remarkably well. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as straightforward as this. So so yeah, so now we're more or less going in exactly the right direction, and I'm pointing straight at the port. So you just drift in.
Lovely.
Like this.
And drum roll.
Clunk. And now it's part of the station. So we start the experiment, and the station lights come on. The lab lights come on.
It's all nice in the.
And then it goes
darkness.
immediately
Lovely.
into the darkness, which I hadn't actually planned on.
But it looks very
quite
pretty.
nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. So that's the experiments take a while to run. The lab generates eurekas, and so
Eurekas.
Eurekas.
That's
yes.
some kind of science.
It's their science thing for measuring how much science you're doing. And so you have to set the experiment off and then go and do other things while it's progressing. So, like for example, launching the zoology bay, which is what this is.
Okay.
The zoology bay is even heavier. It's 35 tons.
It's quite big.
It's quite a lot, and it's right at the top of this rocket, which is why it's starting to lean over and roll a little bit. Like,
That's
no,
not
wrong.
altogether good.
Go back the other way. But I'm a bit more confident with the turn this time.
Yep.
Whack it
Certainly
straight
seems to
over.
be going over nicely.
And it does fight you a bit when there's that much mass at the top. But, and once again, with my incredible ability to produce good viewing, it's pitch dark.
Little lights. Look
Some
good
little
there.
glowing lights and a gigantic rocket flame, and that's basically it.
Yeah. And space, in the background there.
Yeah, space. So, here we are, again, getting another orbit up. Checking things, going whatever. I'm trying to go faster than the station so we can catch it up.
That'd be helpful, otherwise you're chasing it for quite a while.
Yes. So again, time warp round to the with a node. Not sure what I'm doing here. Just looking. Alright. And boosting. Boosting! Like that. And stop. And then we just run out of fuel on the lift stage there. Ditched it. Go to the rendezvous stage. And yeah, I kind of start fannying about trying to get an interception there, and don't really pay attention to where the periapsis is, and we're actually grazing the atmosphere now. It's like, whoops. So I'll just adjust the orbit so that doesn't happen. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that like again or anything.
Yeah.
Because that would just be, to do it once is stupid enough, but to do it twice,
That'd be crazy.
Utterly ridiculous. What kind of an incompetent fool? Oh, look. Yeah, anyway, down to 64 kilometers again. But I do finally manage to get a reasonably good separation here. It's down to 2 kilometers or so. And once we get back out of the atmosphere again, then I adjust it once more.
Yeah.
Which is going to happen like that. So, yeah, down at 2.1k, which is pretty good.
Yep. Getting there.
And then we just kind of, again, zoom around the planet, wait for the encounter.
Zoom.
Switch back to...
How many stages and things are we nailing onto this anyway?
For the full science orbit, for the full station science thing, we've got the zoology bay here, which is going on, and 2 cyclotrons.
Full of camels, obviously, or something.
Yes, animals of some sort. 2 cyclotrons because you need 2 to do the more exotic particles. And so we were adding 2 cyclotrons, and we'll also be adding some solar panels to power the cyclotrons with. So yeah, more stuff. And there's also the switch the station turn lights on there, so I can see it. And there's also the orbital rescue stuff that we want to do as well. So we can put a ship on there that can go out and get people, and then also put some escape capsules on there so we can then send them home.
Helpful.
So this is a docking alignment mod, which I initially forget how to work, so it goes a bit weird.
All over the place.
Once you remember how to read it, it's quite useful, but what you should actually really do is just get your velocity relative to the target down close to 0, and then you can actually start working from there.
Velocity thing again.
So once you've actually remembered how the alignment mod works, it's actually very useful. But
yeah,
for one thing, it lets you rename your docking ports.
Okay.
So now that I know which one forward starboard side is, and that's the one I've targeted.
Helpful.
And so the green cross lines there represent your sort of direction.
Yeah.
So if they're in the centre, you're pointing parallel to the port that you want to dock with, and the big orange target marker shows you where you're actually pointing relative to the centre of the port you want to dock with. So you get them all in the middle, and you're pointing in the right direction. And then you just go forwards.
So bits of manoeuvring and shifting around there.
Yeah, so you just kind of adjust things so that everything gets into the middle, and then you just roll forwards and dock with the station.
Beep, beep,
like that.
beep, beep.
Thump. And
Excellent.
The docking has imported a little bit of roll to the station there.
Now we just need some sort of head on the top with a big smiley face.
So I've started to... Because the rendezvous stage has no experiments on it because they were too heavy. So I'm just going to drop the rendezvous stage back to the planet, and I'm using this ship manifest thing to move some of the spare fuel into the station, because the station is also a fueling station, and the lander doesn't need that much fuel to get back. So, and then I think, hang on, I'll do that with monopropellant as well, because there's probably some spare monoprop on this too.
What's the difference between fuel and monoprop then?
Monoprop is what your reaction control system thrusters use.
Oh, so you use different fuel.
Yeah, because you've got liquid fuel and oxidizer for your rocket engines,
Yeah.
as you might expect, and monoprop, like I think it's hydrazine or something. which just
Something.
it just
Hydrogen's just nasty, though, isn't it?
I don't know what it is, but it's just something, you pass it over a heated plate and it vaporizes, and that generates the pressure for the reaction control system. So you don't need to actually have an ignition system and whatever, like we would with rocket fuel.
Yeah.
So the rendezvous stage returns and boosts into orbit braking, and then
In we go.
it's quite squat and ugly now because I'm using the 2-man lander can, which is cylindrical, so you can put stuff on top of it. So it's got a docking port on top. And there's the moon in the background there. Just rising, that's nice.
Yep.
And we go wibbling around through the atmosphere, and the stars go out
Spinning wildly.
as we get lower. Some
It
small
does look
amount
good
of
with the
flames.
moon over there.
Yeah, it's nice. That was totally coincidental.
No, planned. Definitely planned.
And now we drop in for a landing. Chutes go up, down we go, and thump like that. Hurrah!
Excellent. Hooray!
And that's
Space.
that's
stuff.
our space station so far,
Excellent.
with this little experiment running. So you've got Jebediah's in the top, and we'll have a look at his view in a minute. And there's a big RCS monoprop tank, that's the yellow thing. Then we've got some batteries and solar panels. The 2 huge fuel tanks with docking ports attached to them, and more batteries and solar panels, and another docking port on the tail in case we have need of it. So we've got 9 ports altogether,
Covered in ports.
covered in ports.
Ports. Thousands of them.
And on the right is the science lab, and on the left, with its lights not yet on, is the zoology bay with animals who are hibernating because they haven't got any food at the moment.
You mean you've put them in the fridge or something?
Yeah, they're just up there. It's like, stay asleep, otherwise you're going to starve. And they presumably looked adorable and made some sort of squeaky noise.
Yeah.
So, and this is Jebediah's view, which is quite nice.
That's nice.
And so that's our space station so far.
Looking good.
Looking good. Next time we'll be launching some cyclotrons, hopefully, and maybe finishing an experiment. That would be nice.
Letting the animals out.
Yes. So
Roam free.
I guess until then, thanks for watching,
Toodaloo.
and we'll see you next time.
For more space.
Space!